to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips.
Hello everybody and welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name is Dr. Lesley Phillips and I'll be your host for the next hour. And Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show and we focus on metaphysics and spirituality. We're here every week on CIVL.ca on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley, taking your calls and discussing all sorts of fascinating, interesting and uplifting topics in that realm. And in the studio with me is Corey, as usual.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. And of course, we will be taking your calls and answering your questions. So if you have a burning issue or challenge in your life and you want an intuitive perspective, then you can call 604-504-7441, extension 4142, this hour, and we'll have you live on air to ask your question, and we'll give you that spiritual insight.
And that's Pacific time.
That's Pacific time, and if you're shy, you can write to info@drlesleyphillips.com. That's info@drlesleyphillips.com, and the phone number in the studio is 604-504-7441, 4142. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce today's topic. So today's topic is making spiritually or intuitively guided career choices. And I chose that topic because I guess we've been doing this show for a couple of years now, and we actually received over 1,000 questions that have been sent to us. And so I'm able to kind of look at, well, what kinds of things are people most frequently asking about? And life purpose is top of the list, and relationships are next to that. And within life purpose, it kind of breaks down to two types of questions. One is in terms of what am I here to do in terms of my contribution to the world? And some people frame that question in terms of what to do as a career, what to do as a job, how to find a career that is in alignment with their higher purpose. So I thought that would be a fantastic topic for us to tackle today. And so what I've done is I've come up with my top 10 questions that you can ask yourself to help you clarify your choice. So when you have a career question coming up, whether you want to make a career change, whether you want to accept a promotion, whether you want to go back to school, whatever it is, here are 10 questions that you can ask yourself to help you get some more clarity. Because, of course, one of the things we try to encourage on this show is to help you understand that you do have all your own answers inside of you. Now, sometimes we have a filter or a fog that separates us from our own answers, but they're all there. So here is number 1, top 10 questions. Number 1, what do I really want? What do I really want? And how to know what it is that you really want. How to get clear, what do I really want? And so you can start by saying, well, do I still want what I have now? Do I want what I have now? Or am I looking for a change? And then how, if the answer to that is yes, then how to know what it is that you're wanting to change into. So here's the next thing. If there were no limits, if there were no restrictions, and you could do anything at all, what would it be? So forget your training, forget your family and your peers and your advisors and your teachers, and forget everyone else's opinions. What if there were no limits? The sky's the limit. What would it be? What would you want? And you can also look at what were my childhood dreams. And are any of them still relevant today? Some of them might not be, but some of them might. Or do you have any regrets? Things that you didn't do yet that you always wanted to do. So, top questions to ask yourself, number one, when you're making a spiritually guided career choice is, what do I really want? And then, once you get clear on that, the next question is, do I believe that I can have what I want? Because it's one thing to know what you want, but it's another thing to really believe that you can have it. And if you find that you don't believe that you can have what you want, why not? What's limiting you? What's getting in your way from believing that you can have what you want? And here's a few common things that it can be. Responsibility for other people. Quite often it's other people that stop you believing that you have what you want, because you have to take you believe you have to take all these other people into account. Or issues of self-esteem and unworthiness. That can really stop you believing you can have what you want, because, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. It's not for somebody like, how can somebody so small as I, really have that thing that I want? And then, of course, the other thing is cultural and familial programming. So depending on the culture you were brought up in and your family and their beliefs, if they don't believe in such things, it might be that you don't as well, just because you've you've absorbed that from those people around you. So number two, do I believe I can have what I want? And then, number three, it's a bit related to what I just said. Is it really me doing the choosing here? If not, who is it? Because often we're so enmeshed with other people in our lives, whether you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or you're married and you have a spouse, you're really close to your parents, your siblings, your friends, your peers, your teachers, even your boss or your old boss, children, even your pets. They can all, their wants, needs and desires can all have an impact on you, can all be swimming around in your consciousness. And oftentimes they can dominate, and you can find yourself making a choice which is more somebody else's choice than your own. So is it really me doing the choosing here? Who else is in my space? Who else is influencing me? Because it's really important that that choice, that decision is coming from you, because that's kind of the only way to be happy, and it's kind of the only way to get yourself on a career path that is in alignment with your higher purpose.
But you can't agree with people giving you direction.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like always going to be out of alignment, but it's a good question to ask. It really is.
It's like if your better half, spouse, parents, whatever, suggest you do something because you're good at it or whatever, doesn't mean that you're going to say, no, I refuse.
No, exactly.
I'm going to rebel.
Exactly. Well, you might say that. That might be fun for a while to rebel.
Choice, yes.
Yeah. Now, question number 4. Am I limiting myself by my past? So, did you go to school for something and now you think you can't do anything else because you went to school to learn that? So you're letting yourself be limited by your education? Or did you have a particular background that's limiting you? Perhaps you were poor or you were wealthy. You had a poor or wealthy upbringing that dictated what you could or should do. Oh, I should be an investment banker. Oh, I should be a garbage collector, or whatever it is, right? Based on your upbringing. Or are you limiting yourself by something you did in the past? Maybe you did something that you judged to be bad, like being arrested or getting addicted to drugs, or getting fired for something, and that's affected your ability to conceive what's possible for you. And the other thing about being limited by the past is people change. So what was right for you before might not be your preference now. So are you letting yourself be limited by your past is another really great question to ask in this internal searching for making a spiritually guided career choice or an intuitively guided career choice. Here's another one. So number 5, am I asking who wants me rather than what I want? So sometimes what we do is we try to fit ourselves into someone else's requirements. In a way, that whole interview process is a bit like that, isn't it? You're trying to fit yourself into a list of requirements. So are you asking who wants you as opposed to coming from the perspective of what I want? And then attracting what fits your requirements.
That's interesting because if you do that, you become more attractive to the person who is hiring because you're more positive and more, as long as you don't get overly assertive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And number 6 of the top 10 questions to ask to help you clarify your choice. What other limiting beliefs do I have? And there are probably as many of these as there are individuals, but here's a few. Well, who would ever listen to me? Who would ever want me? That's one. I'd love to do that, but you can't make money doing that. If I choose that, I won't ever make any money, so I can't choose that, even though it's what I really want to do. Or you have to work really hard. If it's easy, then again, you just can't do that because it's all about working really hard for your money. That's another limiting belief. And then there's all that, well, I'm too young and inexperienced, or I'm too old and I'm too experienced, or I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm too educated, I'm too uneducated. Fill in the blank. There can be so many limiting beliefs that we can impose upon ourselves.
So when you look at our area geographically here, it always amazes me how the number of people coming from other countries come and get jobs. I had a friend of mine once who said, every day people come into her business asking for work that barely speak English. It's amazing how they don't let that stop them. Whereas we, sometimes, individuals, have a tendency to stop ourselves with the least little thing. Like you're reading through an advertisement, and 8 out of 10 things are exactly what you want, but 2 you aren't qualified for, so you sort of put it to the side. You're afraid. You become afraid.
Yeah. Being afraid actually is on my list, to ask, well, what am I afraid of? Because deep down you know what you want. So there can be fears that keep you from moving forward. Fear of failure. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of how other people will react to you making a choice for what you want. Fear of leaving others behind. Fear of not having enough money. So many fears.
There's one that you probably would never guess. And that's the fear. If I get a really good job, make lots of money, my ex-wife's just going to take it anyway.
Yeah. There could be so many just bizarre, irrational, or maybe logical fears that we can have. And you need to get rid of the fears in order to make a truly intuitively guided choice that's in alignment with your highest, greatest good and what you really want. And that brings me on to the next point. And this is really, really a good one. This is, even if, I think if you were going to do only one of these, this would be the one. Does it make my heart sing? Do I feel passionate? Do I feel enthusiastic? So if you've got two choices, check in with your heart. Think of it, hold each choice in your mind. Check in with your heart center, because your affinity can be a really great barometer for this. And which one makes my heart sing? Which one makes me feel radiant, excited? Which one is drawing me in, pulling me in like a magnet?
If laundry and dishes can make my heart sing, the right career can make yours. Right, Dr. Lesley?
Yeah, that's right. And then, number 9, am I trying to choose the perfect answer? So believing that there is a perfect answer, that can make you feel so stuck, because there is no perfect answer. All there is what you choose. No perfect answer. Just choices and preferences, and taking a step forward and then making more choices and preferences, which brings me on to number 10. Am I treating this like it's a forever decision? It's like a life or death decision. This is my life forever if I choose this. Because you know what? If you happen to choose what ends up being something that you don't prefer, and you find out after you've chosen it, you can change it. You know, no decisions are forever.
Well, except for having a show at CIVL, because once you're here, they'll never let you go.
Is that right? All I was going to say is look back over your life, see how many changes you've been through already. Nothing's permanent. Everything changes. In fact, if there's one thing that we can be sure of in this world, is that everything will change. So, I think what we'll do is we'll take a break, and after the break we will be taking your calls. So, don't hesitate, folks. The number is 604-504-7441, extension 4142. Once again, 604-504-7441, extension 4142. You can also email info@drlesleyphillips.com.
And remember, that's every Tuesday from 7 to 8 o'clock Pacific time for those people who are in England and Australia and all those places that call us.
Yeah. All right, we shall be back shortly after these messages. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name is Dr. Lesley Phillips, and I'm here with Corey.
Hello.
We are broadcasting live on 101.7 FM on CIVL across the Fraser Valley, and you can live stream us on CIVL.ca. If you're just tuning in, then let me tell you a little bit about Unlocking Your Truth. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is a talk show about metaphysics, spirituality, and also where we open the phone lines for you, the listeners, to call us up and ask a question about any of your life challenges. It can be in the area of health, finances, career, life purpose, relationships, absolutely anything, and we will tune into you and give you some intuitively guided information to help you move forward on your life journey. So that's what we're all about. We're all about supporting you to move forward on your life journey by offering an intuitive look into what's going on. So we've reached the time in the show to do that. And today, by the way, the theme has been about making spiritually guided career choices or intuitively guided career choices but made by you, tapping into your higher guidance and what's really right for you. So if you were stimulated by that, then you can feel free to call in with a question about that, but don't limit yourself that way. And I'll read out the number. The number is 604-504-7441, extension 4142, and you can email info@drlesleyphillips.com as well. And we always like to prioritize the phone calls, obviously, but when we don't have one coming in, we go to emails. And so, Corey, what is the first question?
The first question is from Ella. Not Ella Fitzgerald, just Ella. Ella says, I recently sent an email about Kundalini awakening, but I have another question. Yesterday and today I have been seeing a crow hanging out with an eagle, and today that same crow and eagle flew together over my head onto a tree above me. What could the symbolism be in this?
Okay, I'll take a look at that, but I'll just mention that we did a past show about animal totems, and so that's a really great show to look up on the podcasts, and the podcasts are listed by subject matter on my website, drlesleyphillips.com, and you just go to the podcast page and search for animal totems, and that will come up. And there's a really cool book that I recommend by Ted Andrews called Animal Speak, which is fantastic for looking up the symbolism of animals.
Lesley's favorite book.
One of them,
yes.
Actually. Anyway, I am going to tune into this lady. I'm just going into trance, listeners, for those of you who are wondering why I went quiet for a second. And I'm just tuning into her, and we're going to just take a look at the symbolism of the eagle and the crow, and specifically what it means for her. So give me a second. Oh, the first thing I'm seeing is that the eagle is representing higher consciousness. The eagle is representing taking a higher spiritual perspective. The eagle it's like the 10,000 foot view of your life. And so you can be down there in the details, in the goings on, not seeing the wood for the trees. But what this totem of the eagle is doing is it's uplifting your vision, uplifting your consciousness to take a higher perspective, to see it from a larger perspective, to see what's going on from a larger perspective. And so that's the first thing that I'm seeing the eagle represent. I'm also seeing that it represents freedom, spiritual freedom, to tap into your higher guidance and to choose kind of what we were talking about, to choose your life direction as a result of that. So, elevated perspective is the eagle. And if I look at the symbol of the crow, the crow is representing more like the ego level of consciousness. The ego level of consciousness, the human aspect, the earthly aspect, the shadow side, if it might be another way of saying it. And so I'm seeing that those two birds together represented body and spirit, or ego and higher consciousness, and that you are in the process of integrating your higher consciousness through your body. And those two birds are representing the two poles of that. So the crow is the more ego consciousness, and that which needs to be transcended, aspects of the shadow side, aspects that you might want to look at and delve deeply into in order to transcend them and elevate your consciousness. And I'm seeing, so this is the lady that we did her question last week where she was having Kundalini experiences, and I'm seeing that it also does relate to your Kundalini experiences because, as we said last week, the Kundalini is a spiritualizing force. It's an energy that transforms, that helps you spiritualize your body and everything in your body, helps you let go of those heavy, denser aspects. And so, well, fantastic, really cool symbols and very apropos to your spiritual growth, Ella. So I'm ready for another question now.
Okay. I actually have one that I came up with this afternoon while I was looking at guest hosts for our show. Speaking of which, we have some really good guests coming up over the next few months. But the question was, spirit guides was mentioned by one of them. And I started thinking about it, and I know that spirit guides, people have, Jesus as a spirit guide and things like that, important people. But who are spirit guides actually? Because when we transfer over into the next life, we'll become more or less part of one whole group, and then we move on. And so I presume a lot of these spirit guides, how does that work? Okay, so say I become a enlightened individual in this lifetime. Probably never happened, but if I become enlightened, and then I pass on, and I go into the next life, do I become a spirit guide? And if I become a spirit guide, does that mean I don't come back to Earth again, or come back to another life, reincarnated?
Great question.
Yeah,
and
got me all confused.
So there's a few different streams going on there. So let's answer the one about if I become enlightened this lifetime and I pass on and as an enlightened individual, do I then become a spirit guide?
Talk about careers.
And does that mean that I don't come back to Earth? So here's the answer. What it means is you have a choice. If it is your highest excitement to become a spirit guide, and that's what you'd really love to do, then go for it. Great, that's an option that's open to you. Or if you prefer to come back here in the most frontier of expansion, and in an awakened state to assist other people who are in physical bodies, then go for that as well. So the answer to that is it really depends on you and what you want, just like we were talking about in that instance. The other part of your question which said, who are spirit guides? And I'll give you a couple of different answers. If you think about humanity, we're not all the same. We're not all one thing. We have many different stages of consciousness within humankind and many different interests within humankind. And so it is in the non-physical. In the non-physical, we have many consciousnesses at different stages of awakening, for want of a better word, and who have different focuses and different interests. So just like you could be in this life a doctor or a nurse and have a really passionate interest in healing, well, there are spirit guides whose passion is healing and assisting humans with healing. Or maybe you're like me who has a passion for doing intuitive readings. Well, there are spirit guides who are really into that too. And so there's a whole range of different beings with different focuses and different, and I don't like using words that make us think of hierarchy, but our languages are sort of limited. At different stages of spiritual growth themselves. Now, and so there are ascended masters. You were talking about ascended masters. There are angels, the angelic realm, and there are others as well. And so Jesus is an ascended master. Buddha is ascended master. There are so many of them. And these are beings that have reached a stage of enlightenment where they are at the level of it. I mean, if every single person on this planet could call out to Jesus and be assisted by him in the same moment. So that's kind of gives you an idea of what an ascended master is. And I'm just trying to think what else I can tell you. Animal totems can be a form of spirit guide. Devas, the Devic kingdom, things like fairies and elves and the nature spirits are a form of a spirit guide. So there's a whole variety of different guides that we can call upon. And I work with ascended masters like Jesus, like Mary, like Kuan Yin. I work with angels like Archangel Michael and Archangel Gabriel and others. My own personal angelic guide. And I also have healing guides that I work with, manifestation guides that I work with. So just imagine, just as you've got all sorts of friends in the physical world, you could have just as many friends or more in the non-physical world. So there's such a lot that we could talk about here. And there was something else I wanted to say, but it's just popped out of my head. Let me see if I can get it back. I guess it's gone. I guess I'm not meant to say it. But, another thing, and it's slightly off topic, but not necessarily, is, one of the things I do is past life reading, so I help people tune into the other life creations that they've created on a soul level. And I've had a couple of clients where I've done a past life reading for them, and it's come up that they were a saint. I've had two like this. So they had a life in which, after they passed away, they were declared a saint. And then they went through their death experience and experienced what it was like for people on earth to be revering them as a saint. All their prayers coming at them and so on. And meanwhile, these people who were declared to be saints, kind of just like us, still coming back here, learning, expanding, and so it's kind of interesting.
At the same time as they were being saints?
Well, then the question is, what is a saint and what's the definition of a saint?
No. I meant if they pass on and become a saint, and they're in that realm, and you get all the prayers coming up and things like that, at that same time, can they reincarnate?
The short answer to that is yes, but anchored in your question is maybe something I need to clarify. So this will probably get all sorts of people mad, I don't know. But so let's say let's say the Catholic Church declare, or one of them was a Catholic saint and the other one was a Sikh saint, right? So let's say some church, some religious organization declares this human that has lived is now a saint. What does that really mean? It actually doesn't mean that that person has reached a particular stage of enlightenment or anything. It just means that a structure on earth has decided they are a saint.
That's not my question. My question is, if I become an ascended master, quote unquote, and become a spirit guide, can I be reincarnated into this world at the same time and stay and be a spirit guide at the same time?
Yes.
Could I have myself as a spirit guide?
Yes and yes. Yes. So some of my guides that I work with are other aspects of my own consciousness who are existing in other dimensional realities. It can be a future version of yourself. It can be another aspect of yourself, because the truth is we are eternal, multi-dimensional beings. And what that means is that we create in multiple realities outside of time and space. And so, yes, of course, you can have an aspect of the same soul that you are from. It can be conceived or perceived by you as a guide that is assisting you. Could be your future self, could appear to be like another being that's outside of you, but really that is another aspect of the same consciousness that you are. So yes.
So you can have your cake and eat it too.
That's right. And now it's time for a break. And we'll be back in a short while after these messages. I'll just read out the number again for you to call if you would like to join in our discussion. It is 604-504-7441, extension 4142. 604-504-7441, extension 4142, and write into info@drlesleyphillips.com. And you can write in with questions or to suggest show topics. And we'll be back soon. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name's Dr. Lesley Phillips. I'm here with Corey, and we are here every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, talking about metaphysics and spirituality and giving you an intuitive perspective on your life. The phone number is 604-504-7441, extension 4142. Once again, 604-504-7441, extension 4142. And you can also write to info@drlesleyphillips.com. And time for another question.
Okay, I can do that for you. This one's a little bit older. We didn't get to this one. This was from Lucy. And Lucy says, my boyfriend has been very distant lately. Mood has changed completely towards me and seems like he's no longer wanting to be with me. But he says he does, but we have no connection. I feel like it's not worth staying, that it will only get worse. I don't know what to do.
All right, well, we'll take a look. Who knows what's happened? If it's an old question, might have already moved on, but let's take a look. So I'm going to just tune in to this lady. Well, actually, it looks like they're still together. And so let's see. It looks like they're still together, but the dynamic looks like it's still struggling. And one of the things that I'm seeing is they're sort of clinging on to one another, but at the same time there is a difference in vibration between the two of them. So it looks like she is growing and changing and shifting, and he is struggling to stay in alignment with that. So what's a common thing in relationships is, the way that you can be in a relationship with someone, or the reason you can, is that you have, there's an alignment, and there's an energetic alignment. But if one of you grows or shifts your direction and the other one doesn't, then you can grow apart. And it looks like that's what the strain on this relationship is, that she's moving in a certain direction that he is not completely comfortable going in. And so he's holding on to her, trying to keep her where she was so that he can continue to feel in his comfort zone. And that's no longer her comfort zone, and so that's uncomfortable for her. And so I'm seeing that his mood has shifted because he was feeling a bit desperate, like you're changing and I can't cope with the way that you're changing. And it looks like some of what was going on was his attempt to keep you where you were. And I'm seeing you're feeling that there's no connection anymore is because energetically you are getting further and further apart. And so there isn't the same connection that there used to be. And him saying that he wants to stay is true, he does. But what he's actually saying is, I want to stay and I want you to stay the same. And I don't want you to change, because that pulls me out of my comfort zone. And so I would say that what's more important, Lucy, is for you to focus on what you want. And it looks very clear that you are wanting to move in this direction that you are moving in, and not be held back by somebody grabbing onto your ankles and stopping you from moving. And so focus on what you want, and then it's really up to him whether he then changes his behavior of not wanting you to shift and comes along with you, or whether he doesn't. So that's my answer to that. So I've got time for one more before.
Yeah, I think we can squeeze another one in. Okay, this is from Neely, and again, this is a little bit dated, but it fits in with our topic of today, and which is career. And she writes, what is going on in my life at this time? What type of work is my life mission, which uses my gifts, brings me joy, serves others, and provides continual prosperity in my life to help others while living my dreams? Please use only my first name on the radio, which we always do, and actually change it. And please provide specifics if you can.
That's a really great question and really on topic, isn't it? So I'm going to tune into this lady. And she's asking, first and foremost, what is her life's mission? So let's talk a little bit about life's mission. Because we don't just have one life's mission, we have many. One is to become awakened individuals within the human body and merge that higher consciousness that we are with the body personality that we are. And two is, there is purpose in every moment of your life, whether the purpose is washing the dishes or doing the laundry or something else. But what people usually mean is, what's that special thing that I have to offer to be of service? And that's what she's asking. So let's take a look. And I'm just, give me a moment to see what comes up. And she also asked what's going on in my life right now. So maybe I can start there with what's going on in my life right now. Well, I'm seeing what's going on in your life right now is that you are, what it feels like is that you are, it looks like you do connect with your higher consciousness, that there is a level of awareness that you're having about what you love and what you'd love to do. And actually, one of the things that's coming up is that it has to do with children and caring for children and encouraging children. Because I'm seeing an image of you working with little children and loving it, and that you have some of the gifts that you have are a gift of patience, a gift of encouragement, a gift of being able to go into that zone that children are in. You know, talking about ascended masters, Jesus said, come as a child. And it's that innocence of seeing the world anew in each moment without preconceptions, and that the joy that comes with that. And I'm seeing that you're able to meet the children where they are, in that space of being in the moment, and in that space of what they're doing is discovering things for the first time, at least in this new little body that they're in, and to help to hold the space for those magical experiences, those magical discoveries. So I'm seeing some form of working with children. And it could be childcare, it could be being a teacher, it could be being, it doesn't look like being a therapist. It looks more like an educator of some sort, or somebody holding the space for the opening of the little not even minds, it's beyond minds. And so I'm seeing that, that's what I'm seeing, this magical gift of working with children. I'll see if I can see anything else about this. Yes, we've still got about 8 minutes till the end of the show. Because I'm definitely seeing that you can earn money doing that. So give me a moment. And it doesn't look like it's about having your own children or, you may do that, but this looks like it's working in a classroom setting with children. And what it feels like is helping them open to their potential as opposed to indoctrinating them and stuffing them with logical information. And so it's sort of help introducing new beings into our world and not contaminating them like we have so often done with people. And so these are, and again, I don't like to use these terms like crystal children and rainbow children, but these look like little crystal children, and it looks like providing the environment for them, just for them to shine and be the beautiful bright lights that they are. So that's what I'm seeing for this lady. So it's almost time for us to go. I'll just mention that we'll be back next week, next Tuesday, from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And as Corey mentioned, keep tuning in because we are changing the format a little bit in terms of we're going to have a few more guests than we normally do. And so we've got all sorts of interesting people coming on the show to be interviewed.
Psychics, hypnotists, animal communicators, all kinds of great stuff.
Yeah, so we're very excited about that. And don't forget, write in your questions to info@drlesleyphillips.com or call us next week. And we've got to say goodbye.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.